Mr. Trevor, I really appreciate you letting me be in your establishment and have a conversation.
Yeah, welcome in. I'm glad you came out today and looking forward to where this goes.
Perfect. So on the side is probably where the best audio would be.
Okay.
Yeah, see, there you are. We have to let these people hear that amazing voice of yours, especially for the stories we're hopefully going to get into. But yeah, if you want, just introduce yourself, who you are, what you like to do, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, my name is Trevor. I'm one of the owners of the Coffee Grinder here in Jinx. I like to, go just hang out, listen to music, like to do a little fishing here and there, and that's about it. I love, hanging out with my family.
The simple life,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, I've got a 4-year-old or granddaughter that's going to be 4 this month.
That's dope.
I've got 3 awesome kids and a beautiful wife, and life is good.
Man, see, I love that. I needed that today. I don't know if you know, but I'm going through my little relationship stuff right now, and even before I came here, we had a little dispute. There's some things that I need to let go that I haven't, in the sense of moving on for that little kerfuffle, however you say that word.
Kerfuffle?
Yeah, that little scruffle there. But yeah, man, fishing is really dope. My uncle taught me to fish when I was younger. I just don't have the patience. Maybe I'll get high and then forget that I'm fishing, and I'll enjoy it a little bit more. But a soon-to-be 4-year-old great granddaughter or granddaughter?
Granddaughter.
Granddaughter.
I'm not old enough to have grapes yet.
Actually, no. To be honest, my grandmother is 66 or 67, and she's a great grandmother. So I don't want to, assume anything. So, but yeah, man. So you said you are a part owner of this establishment called the Coffee Grinder. I would like to go into how that happened and how that started, because this used to be Gypsy Coffee. Everybody known Euphoria and Gypsy to be one thing. So how did the Coffee Grinder come about?
Man, it really started a long time ago. I had been working for Celebrity Cruises, and I visited Amsterdam, and I stayed in Amsterdam for a little bit and frequented the coffee shops there. And it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted that here. And then when 788 passed, I corrupted my sister. She was not into cannabis at all. She wasn't against it. She just wasn't into it.
Right.
And so I got her into selling cannabis with me to different dispensaries, that kind of stuff. And we started talking about, well, why don't we do an Amsterdam-style coffee shop?
Mm-hmm.
So we looked out in Broken Arrow. Things just the stars didn't align. And so we kind of put it on the back burner for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I heard Gypsy was closing, I called immediately the property owner and said, hey, what are you going to do with the Gypsy?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, what are your ideas? And I said, we want to run, our family wants to run it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were immediately like, well, we're going to put you in there.
Yeah.
And so working with Euphoria and Shane and Heather and everybody at Euphoria, they're all, a family there as well.
Right.
It's just worked so well to do this together.
Mm-hmm.
We may be 2 totally separate businesses, but everything we do, whether it be a trivia night, a bingo night, a live music night, we host everything together. Mm-hmm. And it's just been a very, very good relationship.
Yeah. No, and that's beautiful to see how, like you said, two businesses can run separately but also coexist and be great for each other. And is that something that you saw in Amsterdam that you wanted to bring back to the States, or just the weed and coffee combination?
The weed and coffee combination. I never envisioned being able to work so well with another business. Mm-hmm. And but to have the dispensary, to have the coffee, to have the 420 friendly patio, it flows together. It feels, I believe it feels to our guests
Yeah.
like they're at home. I believe it feels like they're at one business, and just everybody who comes here, we wanted a comfortable place for everybody. Whether or not you use cannabis doesn't matter, but come in and chill with us.
Yeah, and obviously, I'm not going to assume age anymore. You grew up in the 70s where the hippie movement was
Well,
the 70s, right?
I was born in '74, so I really
74.
grew up in the '80s.
See, there we go. See, guys, this is what my mother raised me not to do, is to assume things and assume age. Because now...
Well, I've got a lot of gray, so...
Yeah, hold on. You were born in, you said 74?
Yeah.
Huh, my mom was born in 79.
Okay.
Okay, that's cool. Sorry, there's just nice correlation there. But yeah, man, so you grew up in an era where, well, especially the 80s, where drugs were really big. Were you a part of that movement to allow cannabis to be legal for people who need it? Or actually, better question, what was the difference between the hippies who supported weed and the government who wanted it to take it away? Like, what did you guys see that everybody else didn't?
Man, I just wasn't even political. I've always believed it's a plant. Mother Nature gave it to us. So why is the big government worried about what we're doing in our living room at home?
Right.
I was never really an activist per se, which I wish I would have been now looking back. But I was very into that culture.
Yeah.
I did not only cannabis, but I was into some psychedelics as well at the time. I've gotten away from the psychedelics the older I got, and I'm strictly cannabis now.
Right.
But I just think, natural things, nobody should be able to come into our living room and tell us what we can and can't do in our own home.
Yeah, and that's the thing with a lot of people who have negative stereotypes or negative feelings with people who have different ideologies as themselves, either if it's sex, religion, cannabis, whatever the case may be. I always found it odd that it would affect somebody so deeply that they would either hate, hurt, or despise somebody, and that always blew my mind. So it's really neat to see how generation after generation we all had something to fight for. Like my great grandparents, of course, it was equality. You guys, it was for freedom of whatever. Now it's kind of got back to the race thing, but we all lived and learned and fought for something. So I always like speaking to different people in different time periods. So that's beautiful to hear.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know what? The only difference between me and you is the amount of melanin in our skin.
Yeah,
we all bleed red, and nobody should look at anybody any differently because of who they love, or because of what color their skin is, or because of what language they speak.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, well, it hit home really when you was talking to me and my son's mom the other day about I would never support Chick-fil-A. And I was like, because they're not good? He was like, no. You were like, no, because my daughter's gay. And I didn't know how deeply that affects a lot of people. Some people just bypass that because it's good food. But for you, it's deeper, and that's why I feel like cannabis brings everybody together, because, of course, over there, we have gay people, we have white people, we have black people, we have everybody from every walk of life coming together for a common cause, and it's medicine. And that's what is so beautiful about this plant that you said Mother Nature gave us. So how old were you when you moved to Amsterdam? Because Amsterdam has been legal for...
Well, I didn't move there. I was working for Celebrity Cruises at the time.
You're right.
And I got off the ship and I just hung out there for a little bit.
Okay.
And so that was back in 2000.
Okay. So what was, because the only thing I know about Amsterdam is from Deuce Bigelow. I don't know if you saw that movie, but it's the only thing I know about Amsterdam. But what is some stories that you have from Amsterdam? Because of course you probably saw, done, and experienced a lot.
Man, it was, I got onto a tram one day. I smoked quite a bit, hopped onto a tram, had no clue where I was going.
So a tram, is that kind of like a train?
A trolley.
Trolley? Okay, yeah. Okay.
And they run all through the cities there, and I had no clue where I was going. I didn't care. I just wanted to kind of explore.
Yeah.
And I started getting some cotton mouth, so I was like, okay, a cold beer would be really good right about
Of course.
now. So I hopped off the trolley and found myself a little bar. Well, I looked across the way, and there's an old Art Deco theater there, and Stomp was playing that night. So, and I was by myself, so I went and got a ticket to see Stomp, and went into this theater, and it was absolutely beautiful. I got a balcony seat, and this theater was probably from the late 1800s.
Oh, damn.
The acoustics were beautiful, and I'm sitting there and waiting for the show to start, and this guy comes out to start sweeping the stage, and I'm like, okay, so they're finishing up, and then he kind of looks out at the audience, then he starts moving his broom funky, and it was the start of the show.
That's so cool.
So that was one of the coolest nights that I had there, just because, I had no expectations. And it just turned out as something really cool and fun to do.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm getting back into. So before my son's mom, or my ex, whatever the case may be, I was single. She was my first everything. So I was alone majority of my life. I did things by myself, went to the movies, went out to eat, all this fun stuff. So now that I had her for so long, it's like, now I got to get back into these things. So I'm kind of doing things here and there, going out to eat or whatever the case may be, doing that by myself. But it's cool just to see how much experience and how much fun you can have if you just embrace that now and the opportunity that it presents itself. Like, you just chilling and probably had one of the best nights of your life. So I always find that fascinating that a lot of people can do that, and I try to encourage a lot of people to experience things like that for themselves. But
yeah, and I need to get back to those roots,
right,
because you get into a rut after a while, and you do the same thing day in, day out, and you kind of forget, grab your family, grab those loved ones. We went out for my daughter's birthday last week, and we just ran around. We went to Oz. We went to there's a place over in Woodland. It's like a little hippie store. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's a really cool shop. And just to get to hang out all day with, like I said, no expectations, just where it ends up, and have those kinds of days, no schedule. It brings something out in you where you're just happy.
Yeah, for sure. And I always get to the point, or now I need to start getting to the point to allow yourself to miss your family. Allow yourself to need them in your life. And I'm saying that to say, like, enjoy being by yourself, because being around, and I think that's something that messed up my relationship. We were together all the time. So all of the anger, all the, whatever the case may be, it was just festering in one place. But if I just would have stepped outside of it, or if she would have stepped outside, whatever the case may be, then we would have been like, oh, this person is actually for me, or blah, blah, blah. So yeah, allow yourself to miss family, allow yourself to experience things by yourself, so you can have something to give back to them, not just they see everything you're doing, or they know you 100%. So yeah, that's beautiful. So you were in Amsterdam on a cruise. How did that happen? How did you get on a cruise, period? Because when you were telling me the other day, I was like, I don't see how people work on these things.
Man, I've always been a behind the scenes kind of a guy.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I did lights and sound in the theater for high school productions, that kind of stuff. And I found out about a little school called Full Sail in Winter Park, Florida, just outside of Orlando. And I always wanted to go. In fact, I lied to my parents, told them I was staying with a buddy of mine, and I flew to Florida to check the school out. And, we had a great time, stayed in Dallas overnight with a cousin of mine, and I was like, man, I want to go here. But it was a very expensive school to go to. And so once again, back burner, didn't think it was ever going to happen, anything like that. I had gotten into a little trouble here because of Cannabis, and I ended up moving out to Albuquerque. when I was out in Albuquerque, I was about a half a paycheck away from being on the streets. If it wasn't for my parents, I would have ended up on the streets. They just really supported me, really helped me out. Wonderful people. And my parents came down to visit, and no food in the cabinets, nothing, not even a cold beer for my dad after he'd driven all that way. And so we went out and we went to the bar, sitting down with my mom, we're talking, and my mom said something that really hit home and was the best thing she could have ever said to me. She said, when are you going to quit being a bum and do something with your life? I didn't even have a high school diploma at this point. I didn't have a GED, nothing. I had dropped out of high school. And I said, well, you know where I want to go to school. And she said, you get me your GED and you get me the information and we'll pay for you to go. And so I went, I took my GED, didn't even know if I'd passed it yet, got into my car and drove to Florida. And moved down to Florida and told them just to mail my results to the school.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have an address, I didn't know where I was going to be staying, nothing. And, but it was an adventure.
What was that like? Oh, actually, let me get back to that. So, I like to make these podcasts personal to myself. So I'm the type of person who, if I see an opportunity or if I see something that I enjoy, I jump on it immediately. Even if I don't have the funds, even if I don't have the experience, I just want to do it because I don't want to put it on the back burner because I don't want to have the chance to lose it. But then I lose it. Then I mess up. Like culinary school, I dropped out of regular college, went to culinary school because I liked cooking, and that was just an impulse thing. It was just, I don't want people to think I'm a failure. So I did that and then ended up wasting money. So what is that like, accepting the not now but later type of mindset?
Man, it's tough. You know, at the end of the day, it all comes down to dollars and cents. I mean, anytime I put something on the back burner, it's been because of dollars and cents. You know, because if you don't have it, you don't have it.
Yeah.
And it's a tough thing because it's, you know, you want it, and you know there's got to be a way to get there. But how do you get there? How do you scrape together, you know, 30 grand? Right. You know, we're not talking, you know, $200-300, you know, $30,000-40,000. Yeah. All of a sudden, that's a big task.
Some people don't make that in a year.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so I can see.
Heck, I don't make that in a year.
Right. So moving to Albuquerque, what was the impulse behind that city and state in particular? Man,
the company I was working for at the time had offices in Albuquerque.
Okay.
And it was a fresh start. It was, okay, I've gotten in some trouble, I've got it cleared up, but need a fresh start. So I actually, total impulse. I called my brother when I was driving out there to look at apartments. 2 days after I decided I was going to move out there, I was on the road driving out there. I called my brother and I say, hey, what are you doing? He said, oh, just hanging out. What are you doing? I said, I'm driving to Albuquerque to look for apartments. I said, do you want to move out there with me? He said, when are you moving? I said, next weekend. And he said, yeah, let's go. So he broke up with his girlfriend and moved to Albuquerque with me.
Oh, my brother kicked me out of the room once because he had a girl in there. So, shout out to your brother. What's his name?
My brother's name is Brian. He passed away a number of years back. He had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and he lived for 17 years with it. My daughter, Brianna, is named after him.
Oh, that's neat.
His name was Brian. And he was a teacher to all of us about life. Yeah. And about how precious life really is.
Well, sorry for your loss, of course. I feel like that's just a cliche thing to say. Sorry for your loss. Like, of course I feel bad, but no, I mean, that's beautiful. That's a whole nother topic, whole nother subject. But, so in Albuquerque, your parents came and saw you. When your mom told you, when are you going to start doing something with your life? How did that finally feel, hearing that from like a mother figure? Because we see our mothers as gentle, sweet, kind, not authority type deal. So how did you take that in that moment?
Yeah, and my mother is very gentle, sweet, and kind. She is a wonderful, wonderful woman. And it broke me down. It took me to rock bottom, which is what I needed. And she knew that's what I needed. So that's why she didn't sugarcoat. She didn't pull any punches. She just said it. And it allowed me to start building up now. Because if I hadn't hit that rock bottom, I wouldn't have been ready yet.
Yeah, and that's so true, because I feel like if we still have things to lose, we are not going to have the impulse to create something different. Like as a teen and a young adult, I would get jobs, quit jobs. I would everything in the book. I was not committed. I was a bum, so to say. Even when I had my child, I was unemployed for a whole year.
Wow.
While his mother was still working and all that fun stuff. So I had to feel that. My highest weight was 477 pounds.
Wow.
And I've lost 60 pounds of that.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. So I understand the fact where you say I had to have nothing left, because at that point I had nothing. She could have left me and I don't know what I would have done. So we all need that push, that realization that this is all we ever are going to have unless we change it. So you did your GED, and you went to Florida. Did you end up going to the school, or is
Yes.
that where? Okay.
Yep.
So how was that experience to you when you finally found out you passed your GED? Because shit, that's exciting,
Man.
especially for a person who is betting on themselves. Like this podcast here is betting on myself. I've been doing this over a year. Of course, I have local people, blah blah blah. But eventually, I want this to be bigger than what I could ever imagine. And betting on myself is the only thing I can do. So what was that like for you, betting on yourself and then succeeding?
Man, I was elated. And I tell you, because after dropping out of high school, and I heard teachers tell me that I would never amount to anything. They didn't support. So at that point, I didn't think I was smart. I didn't think I could do the things that I am 100% capable of doing. And so that first day in class, especially when they hand out the
syllabus and all that
and
stuff,
everything,
yeah.
I didn't hear a word that instructor said that day. I sat there and had a talk with myself in class. And I said, you know what, this is your last chance. And if you don't take advantage of this, your mom and dad are going to cut you off, and you're done. This is going to be your life. And I had a long, hard talk with myself that day. And I ended up excelling all the way through. And I mean, there was bumps in the road, and it was hard, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of life. We see people on drugs, we see people who are homeless, and we make fun of them, or we look down on them, or whatever a lot of mean people will do. But it's like, we don't know their story. We don't know that point where they talk to themselves, where it's either I succeed or I fail. In your case, you succeeded, but we never hear about the other part. We never hear about that first needle or that first whatever drug. We only see the outcome. And to see how people's lives can be ruined by different influences like teachers or people who get sexually assaulted and can't bounce back from that. These are humans. These are real people.
Yeah, because nobody ever comes out and says, I want to be a drug addict.
Right.
Nobody ever comes out and says, I want to live in a homeless camp. Nobody ever says that. Situations, any one of us could have ended up in any one of those situations.
For sure. So, exceeding in college, you graduated from there, right?
Yes.
So, when was that? Because you went to Albuquerque in 2000. When did you finally graduate that school?
June of 98.
June. Oh, okay. So 98. And then You were on the cruise line in 2000.
Well, yeah, I went December 5th of 98.
Oh, okay,
Is
okay,
when I
okay.
first went out cruising.
So what was that like? Okay, I smoked before I came. So
All right.
so remind me what the school was about again.
It was a school. My degree's in audio engineering.
Okay.
So it was a 100,000-foot multimedia complex where they did film, they did video, they did audio.
So you can film my movies basically.
Well, not film, no, but I could set up a mic or two.
So is that what you did on the cruise ship?
Yeah, I was started off as a back lounge tech. So the back lounge was mine.
Yeah.
I ran sound. I took care of all the audio equipment, took care of all the entertainers that came back there, and just hung out in the back lounge all night.
Yeah. And you said you loved being behind the scenes. What about being behind the scenes is so your niche, so to say?
Man, I don't know. I was just never, I've come out a little bit more into where I don't mind being in front of people anymore. Mm-hmm. But there was a time in my life, I guess I was very self-conscious, very, almost introverted. But so the back of the house was so much better for me, where I had the small little family of 6-7 people that we're a group, work together. I was running sound, we had a light technician, we had stage automation, all that kind of stuff, and we just worked together, and we had a sense of accomplishment every night after that show ran very well.
Yeah.
Because if a mic goes out, if there's feedback, if a light goes out, any of those problems along the way, you have to fix those on the fly.
Yeah.
You don't have an hour. You have 30 seconds.
Right. The talent can be talented, but they can't do shit without y'all.
Yeah, so we're all a team,
Right.
And that's one thing that I really liked was being a part of a team where I wasn't in front of 1,000 people.
Yeah. And you said a celebrity cruise. What does that mean?
Celebrity Cruises is Royal Caribbean's 5-star line.
Okay.
And they're very bougie ships.
Yeah. It sounds like it. So after that, when did you decide, okay, maybe, or not maybe, when did you just decide that, okay, I'm done with the cruise ship, I'm going to do something else? And what was that something else?
Well, I came back here. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was either going to go back to cruising or I was going to go to Vegas and try to work in the theaters in Vegas because I was interested in being on land for a while.
Yeah.
And so I was planning on taking about 6 months off and visiting friends and family, kind of doing some soul searching, figuring out. And I ran into my wife, who I didn't know. I knew her from 7th grade.
Oh, damn.
We went to Union together. I left Union, went to Broken Arrow. She left Union. She came to Broken Arrow. So we followed each other around our whole lives, basically.
Right.
And I ran into her at a bar one night, and we went out that night. We've spent maybe 2 or 3 nights apart since then. And I just found the love of my life. And so at that point, there was no question.
Yeah.
I'm ready to do something else and have my wife in my life. And she already had 2 kids at the time, and they just became a special place in my heart immediately. And then we had the one together, and it just, if you make a right instead of a left, your whole life changes. You don't know what that change is, but it's changed. And that's what happened that night that I went to that bar, because I didn't want to go to the bar that night. A friend of mine, Christine, or at the time, I don't know if she still does, owned the 10 Dog Saloon over around the 41st and Harvard area. And she talked me into coming over there. She was like, I'll buy you a couple of drinks, just come keep me company.
Yeah.
And a couple of Jenny's friends were like, oh, you got to go with us. And So they drug her along. So it was just a complete...
It's a movie.
Yeah, it really almost is.
It's a movie.
And, my life has only become better because of her.
Oh, Trevor, I did not expect it to get this. Damn. No, that's beautiful, man. And that's something I'm searching for myself.
It just reaches out and grabs you when you least expect it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to be where I am today. It was a total accident that I ended up here.
For sure. Anyway, let me move on before I get sad in this beautiful establishment you got here. So, finding the woman of your dreams and her already having 2 children, a lot of people either can't or pretend to accept that. What was it like for you? Because like you said, they became a special place in your heart. Like I have a stepfather, and from day one he was always respectful and nice and did things behind the scenes for us that we didn't see at the time. But now that I'm older, I appreciate this man a lot more. So what was that like for you, just coming back, finding, an old friend, and then, accepting everything that she had to offer?
Man, it was awesome, but it was tough. I'd never been around kids, and I expected a lot more from a kid than what a kid could give. It was we ran through some bumps in the road, and we had some hard relationships, which are all good now. But it created some tough times, and having that blended family with them coming and going, going to their grannies and coming home to mom and that kind of stuff. It's not easy, but it's well worth it.
Yeah. And of course, it being well worth it had to come at the time that they finally accepted you. Right? Would you agree?
They accepted me right off.
How old were they?
And then, oh gosh, Haley was still in diapers.
Okay.
Dalton, he may have been 4.
Okay. So not really old enough to, have not hate, because we all hate step parents.
Yeah. Well, and they accepted me with open arms, and they loved, but but I expected too much of them. Not love-wise, that kind of stuff, but, a 4-year-old is not going to go pick up after themselves and that kind of stuff. And I thought they should at that point, because I just, I don't want to make excuses. But, I was ignorant to what a child should be capable of.
Yeah.
And then when it came to school, I was very strict and that kind of stuff. And, it taught me. You got to let the little stuff slide. You can't harp on the little stuff, because those relationships are so much more important than an A or a B in science class. Those relationships are more important than a lot of things. And I was, you're scared to see your kids go down the same road you did, because they deserve so much better than what you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, growing up, we were not expected to do a lot. But if we failed in something, or we didn't do something to our parents' standard, we got talked down upon, or, of course, whoopings at that time. But now that I'm a father, I see myself doing the exact same thing. Like, I need my son's attention, but of course he's 3. He's not going to pay attention to me. He's not going to listen to a lecture. So I have to tell myself, calm down. It's cool. He is 3. He's only been on this earth for 3 years. I've been on this fucking earth for 24 and still mess up, right?
Exactly. We can't expect from them not to mess up when we mess up ourselves.
Of course.
And that little, your son is a beautiful child.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and just to see, so my father wasn't always in my life. Like, he was off and on. Of course, stepfathers, blah blah blah. But I don't see how the relation, like you said, the relationship is deeper than A's and B's, and that's how I'm trying to do my parenting. My son's relationship is deeper than him having an accident on himself or him not picking up his toys on time. It's deeper than that. Like he had an accident and I had to change him, and I was explaining to him we don't do this in our diaper. He knows what the potty's for and all that stuff, and he was like, "I'm sorry, Daddy." And that right there, like, me not thinking he understands, he does. Me not thinking he pays attention, he is. And for him to apologize, it's like, I need to start doing better. Me cussing out loud because I'm playing the video game. Oh, he's 3. No, he knows. He knows your body language. He doesn't know the meaning, but he understands.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful to hear that, and I feel like a lot of men and women should hold on to that deeply. This is deeper than, however I'm supposed to raise my children. Them being happy, taken care of, fed, loved. That should be deeper than being strict, blah, blah, blah. Of course, teaching morals and decency. Like I tell my son he's smart. I tell him he's handsome. I tell him, school is cool. Like he was reading a book by himself. And those are the things that I want to instill in him. But I'm not a drill sergeant. I'm not a coach. I'm not this, and this. I am dad. And I'm going to do dad things regardless if he likes it or not, but he will never feel like I don't love or respect him.
Yep, and that's the most important, because how they grow up now depends on the type of person they're going to become. And that's up to us as parents to help them become the person that they want to become. Because it's not our lives, it's theirs.
Yeah.
And when they're young, of course, we have to guide. Some of us, myself, made some pretty big mistakes along the way on, being more that drill sergeant, expecting military, like when it's just not, that stuff just, they need love and affection, and they need to go out to the park and play on the slide and that kind of stuff more. And if you have to go through and pick up an extra few toys here or there, so be it.
Yeah, and that was the thing with me. Like, my son, he is active. Like, he runs for no reason.
Yep.
Right. And when I was 477 pounds, we were outside, and I was just getting tired standing there, not even chasing him, not doing anything. So I had to make a change to be like, I want to be here for when he's running around for baseball, basketball, or competition for boxing, jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. And of course, like, your children needs to be active. They need to have you there. This father figure of mine, he told me, your son doesn't know how much you make. He doesn't know your likes or dislikes. All he knows if you're present or if you're not present. And he was like, Julian, the best thing you can do as a father is just be there.
Yep.
And I didn't understand that until now. He's such a daddy's boy. Of course, his mom moved out, and now, he has to go live over there, and he doesn't understand that. But it hurts, Like,
Yeah.
I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but it hurts,
Yep. And I've got to bring up a story now,
Yeah.
and I apologize. It kind of veers off a little bit.
No,
here,
it's
but
fine, because I'm
when you
getting
said-
sadder and sadder. So
when you said your son runs and that kind of stuff, and my daughter, when she watches this, she's going to be like, "Really? Did you have to tell this story?" But yeah, I do. When she was in kindergarten, she ran out of the classroom, went running out, and they had to run after her to catch her, and they took her to the principal's office, and called my wife up there, and my wife went up there, and they asked her, they said, "Brianna, why did you run?" And she said, "Rules, rules, rules. I just want to be wild and free." And I think she got it off a movie or something. I'm not sure, but you couldn't help but laugh.
Right.
I mean, it was everything you could do. You got to, and still, that's not cool. But at the same time, you couldn't help but be grinning ear to ear the whole time that she's getting in trouble for this.
Yeah, and so I'm a big comic book guy, And in this comic book, you're familiar with Batman, right? And his and his Robins.
Yeah.
So the very first Robin, Dick Grayson, jumped into a battle prematurely, and he got hurt really bad, almost died. And Alfred was standing between the door and Batman, and he was like, "You're not going in there and going to scold him. We damn near lost him today. So I'm gonna need you to take off this costume and be Bruce. Don't be Batman." And Bruce went in there and he told him, "Hey, you didn't do nothing wrong. It's okay, but we have to think. We have to do different things like that." And I feel like that's how parents should be. Of course, it's not nice or good to run out of classrooms. It's not good to run in the street. But be your own person. Be free. Love yourself. And I guess that's a good transition into what we're about to talk about next. Is, of course, your daughter is gay. You spoke about that.
Yep.
And I feel like having that sense of I want to be just wild and free, it lets people like her or people similar to love themselves. But how was that for you? You talk about that's their life, that's blah blah blah, but of course you have to think about other people who may hate them, and like for me, regardless of if me and you are best friends or whatever the case, there's going to be people who hate him because of the way he looks, and that terrifies me forever. And of course, you probably feel the same way. A lot of people are shooting up gay bars. A lot of people are hating gay people. And how are your feelings towards all that?
Man, I don't get it. I don't understand, because at the end of the day, I don't care. I do care, but I don't care who she's with. Mm-hmm. Man, woman, trans. I don't care, as long as the person she is with treats her right. And, once again, that comes back to it's nobody's business what goes on in my home. At the end of the day, it's all about happiness, and just, who you love is not up to you. Right. It just happens. And so those kinds of people that have that hatred, I have no place in my life for those kind of people.
I agree. Yeah, and to me, I don't get it. I can't be rude to people, regardless of. I mean, of course, we all have bad days, or we all have people that we entertain when they're mean to us. But I don't even like honking at people if they cut me off.
I know, right?
And that's the thing. It's not that I'm scared. It's not that I can't defend myself. It's just I don't want no problems. I don't want somebody to yell at me, because I'm the type of person that if somebody says something mean to me, I'll think about it all day. Or I'll feel some type of way. Or if I let something slide, I'm like, ugh, maybe I did something wrong.
Yeah, and it goes the same in reverse. If I've said something to somebody and I'm joking with them or whatever, and it comes off wrong, I'm thinking about that the whole day.
Right.
I'm thinking, I've got to make it right to this person.
Yeah, so that's beautiful, and I love your take on your family, your daughter, and your life. But now let's get into this nice coffee grinder.
Let's do.
So when you finally got the okay to build basically your dream, what was the planning like going into that?
Man, I tell you, I am very much a no plans kind of come in, and it drives my mom and my sister are my partners in this. Mm-hmm. Drives them absolutely nuts because I'm a wrecking ball. I come in and I pick something and I go. And when we've done trivia nights, 2 days before, I won't have the questions already picked out. And they're like, what trivia are we doing? And I'm like, we've got 2 more days. We're good,
And that's how I am about podcasting. Like, I had no questions, 0 questions.
Yeah, exactly. And, and that's the kind of person I am. Where it goes, and we're going to be okay.
Right.
And when we did a Christmas dinner here for Euphoria, Shane came over and asked me if we would do their Christmas party for him. And we said, well, of course. And my mom's trying to make all these lists and everything, and she's like, well, what do you think about this or that? And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And it didn't come down until about 48 hours before, and then all of a sudden I'm in high gear.
Yeah,
So
I'm not lazy when it's time to not be lazy.
exactly, and so that was coming into this. It was kind of, we had an idea of the direction we wanted to go, but even on the decor and that kind of stuff. My sister's very country. Obviously, I'm very kind of hippie.
Yeah.
And so, we have our little, our kind of country stuff here and there, our hippie stuff here and there. My mom's probably a little more conservative. So, bringing everything together, we've had those little bumps in the road of, I don't like this. I didn't. There was hearts drawn all over our front windows, and I was like, okay, you've got enough hearts. We can stop there. And stuff like that, just little stupid things. But, we had our main box built. We just didn't know 100% how we were going to fill it. And we've kind of learned along the way of, okay, that was stupid. We shouldn't have done it that way. We've got to fix this or fix that, and that's how we've kind of come up with where we're at now. It's just been entropy. It's been confused chaos.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, being siblings, it has to be easy to get on each other's nerves, of course. But what is it about you and your sister that you guys can disagree but still get shit done, still run your business, run your dream?
Brooke and I have been very tight since we were little, and
She's just not moving to Albuquerque.
No, she was married, doing her own thing at the time,
right?
And that's one reason I didn't call her, because I would have taken my brother and sister both with me, and that's why I didn't call her and say, "Come on, let's go." She was and there's been times in our life where 3-4 years at a time we weren't talking all the time. Maybe every couple of months we would talk, and then when she got into the cannabis business with me, it was just we worked so well together. And she will give it to me straight. She does not hold punches. She is very, come on, we need to talk.
Is she older or you older?
She'd kill me if I told you. So you can probably take that hint.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's beautiful. So what are you, a couple more questions. So what are you most happy for about your business?
The people. We have, I've got regulars that I know them by name when they walk in the door. I mean, we opened November the 26th.
Right.
And to, have a live event here and know so many of the people that are here, knowing that we are a safe place for everybody, knowing that I'm hoping that our customers are our family. These people are becoming our family.
Right, because they all look. If you guys can see the other people that is in here, they're comfortable. They're laughing.
They
enjoying
pull a coffee table to them. They don't feel like, oh my gosh, I come in here and I've got to just leave everything just the way it is. No, they grab a coffee table and they pull it over.
Yeah, because it feels like your living room. It doesn't feel like. Of course, it has that coffee vibe. It has that, but it doesn't feel rushed, or it feels comfortable. Like I'm just in my home.
Yeah, and that was our goal. We wanted people to feel at home.
Yeah.
We want to, we try to keep it pretty mellow throughout the day, Monday through Friday, and then on the evenings and weekends we have live events. We get loud and rowdy in here sometimes,
right.
and not at others. So that way, during the week, those people who want to come in and work and study and that kind of stuff, then they can do that. And they don't have to worry about being interrupted. In the evenings and on weekends when we have live events in here, then they can come in here and let loose a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about going to a bar. You don't have to worry about being around alcohol to be able to come and check out some live music.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. 2 more questions, I promise. So the first one, it wouldn't feel like my podcast if I don't ask a relationship question. But what is, in your opinion, the biggest thing to have a healthy relationship? Not a happy one, or of course happy, but not like a perfect one. Not whatever. A sustainable, enjoyable relationship or marriage.
Man, trust and love. I mean, if you've got to trust the person. You know, if I see my wife go up and give a guy a big hug and that kind of stuff, there's no jealousy there whatsoever. I know she's coming home to me at the end of the day, not to him.
Yeah.
And that's the same way she is with me. Honesty. You know, sometimes you're gonna have to have that hard talk, but honesty. Because if you don't have, my wife is my best friend. Like I said, I've known her since 7th grade. She's my best friend in the world. Even before we crossed that line, because, gosh, I was 26 years old before we crossed that line. We were always just friends. And I wanted to, if I wanted to go see a movie, who would I call? I'd call Jenny. I wouldn't call one of my guy friends. I'd call Jenny and say, "Hey, let's go check out this new movie that's out." And there was nothing there that said, I'm going to buy or you're going to buy or anything like that. We just went out and had fun. So that that friendship, that trust, that it's all got to be there. It's got to be the whole package, or the relationship is not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I asked that question because, of course, a lot of people know. My son's mom, she had sex with somebody else, and while we were still living together, so that friendship, that honesty, that trust, I don't feel it no more, and it hurts me that it's no longer there. And I need to get to that point to where I accept her for who she is now, not who she was, because that's how I want her to accept me. But I don't feel like she did. I didn't feel like she ever gave me a chance to introduce this new me to her. So I just wanted to ask that because, of course, I need to better myself and, move on, so to say. So it's a beautiful answer.
Yeah, and when it comes to raising a child with two parents that don't live in the same home, that child still needs both those parents. So it's going to help that child so much having open communication and the one advice that I can give is never talk about her in any kind of a negative way in front of him, not even to him, even just in front of him, anywhere, because that's still his mother, and he's going to love her. That's unconditional.
Yeah, no, I know that to be a fact. I've experienced parents talking about each other, and, so I know what psychologically that can do to a child. So that's another beautiful advice. So, all right, last thing. Any final thoughts on either relationship, children, cannabis, business, or about yourself?
Man, I'm not good on myself. So. But no, just be who you are. Just chill out. Relax. Don't sweat the big stuff. Have a if you use cannabis, use cannabis. If you don't, you don't. But don't worry about if your neighbor does. Let's move towards freedom, and our place is a safe place. If anybody ever feels uncomfortable here, they need to come talk to me and tell me, because the only way we can change something or fix something or make it better is by that input. So I am not the owner that is a closed door. I'm an open door. Obviously, talking to me today, You've got to see I'm an open book. I'm willing to tell you whatever you want to know, and I'm going to use things constructively.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, you know what? This didn't work for us today." All right, what are your suggestions? How can I make it right for you? And if they're reasonable requests, I'm going to get it done. I had one lady who she gave us a 5-star review on Google, but in that 5-star review, she complained about how strong the cannabis smell was in here, and there was probably a delivery next door or something, and that smell wafted over here, and that's going to happen every now and then. I don't think it's a strong smell all the time, but every once in a while it's going to happen. And so I wrote her back on Google, let me know when you come in, and I will shut that door between the businesses because I want everybody to feel welcome here. And sure enough, within a week, she called up here and said, hey, I'm going to be there in about an hour. Can you shut that door? And I was happy to do it. I just want people to know that we are here for everybody, and we're not here just to make money. We're here to have fun. We're here to build relationships.
That's beautiful. Because shit, I mean, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly. And I don't work now. This is the coolest thing in the world.
Right.
I've always been told what to do and that kind of stuff in jobs, and now I don't get told what to do. Well, maybe by my sister or my mom a little bit, but at the end of the day, I don't get told what to do.
Right.
And it's so awesome to work for yourself and know at the end of the day, your decisions, they affect you.
For sure. Well, Trevor, I really appreciate you taking this time to speak with me.
Julie and I have enjoyed today.
Good. I'm glad because I've had a really tough morning. I appreciate everything that you've given me advice-wise. Even though it may not have seemed that way, I'm taking everything to heart. I need to do some soul searching, I guess. But for all of you, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully this has been a beautiful conversation between two people who enjoy what they do. We love weed.
Yes, we do.
I'm not that big a fan of coffee, but this coffee here at the Coffee Grinder at your location again?
109 South 7th Street in Jinx. We are connected to Euphoria. And we've got a door inside that goes between the two businesses, so you don't even have to go outside.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, everyone, love yourself, love others. Stop by your local dispensary and say hi to your local bartender.
Yes, do so. Stop by your local, support your local businesses and not the big business.
And tip your baristas.
Yeah, it makes them happy. It puts a smile on their face. So that makes me happy.
Yes. All right, everyone. From us to you, may your pain be champagne.
Thank you, guys.